Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. Total disbelief at Ford Field.
He may go all the way to the 20 down the right side, and it's Randall Cobb to the 5, to the end zone, to the touchdown. Oh my goodness.
Welcome, everyone, to the Green and Golden Boys Packers podcast, the podcast for Packer fans who just want to save some time, skip the season, and just say, hey, Mark Charles, let us know what you think the Packers record is going to be this year. I am your co-host, Charles, and with me, as always, is Marcus. Marcus, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Charles, and yourself?
I'm doing great. As I just alluded to, this episode we usually do right when the schedule is released, but we're doing it right before Week 1 against the Vikings this Sunday. We're gonna go through the schedule, say who we think we're gonna beat, who we think we're gonna lose, and what our overall record's gonna be. Before we do that, though, there are some updates that I think we want to highlight on the practice squad that I think was finalized yesterday. Am I right?
That is correct. So I think last time we spoke, the official roster hadn't come out yet. So we were kind of speculating on a few positions. We thought Patrick Taylor was going to be on the 53. He actually was one of the last players to get cut, unfortunately. And then the Packers went and signed safety Micah Abernathy, and then cut him right after they put him on the 53-man roster the next day when they signed safety Ruby Ford, who's now on the active roster. We were concerned about a couple of players making it onto the practice squad, passing through the waiver wire, and luckily we were able to sign, I think, everybody we were worried about. Offensive tackle Caleb Jones, running backs Patrick Taylor and Tyler Goodson, defensive linemen Chris Slayton and Jack Heflin. Micah Abernathy did make the practice squad, so he is still a Packer. And then the big ones, I think, were wide receiver Juwann Winfrey, who I was really worried was going to get snatched up by somebody else, but he's now signed on the practice squad. And then the last spot didn't get filled until yesterday, and that went to kicker Ramiz Ahmed.
Yeah, a couple things on that. I think that just shows us that everyone kind of, all 32 teams like their practice squad guys, and maybe – we probably get this feeling of like everyone's staring at our guys that we're going to have to not have beyond the 52 man. We just assume they're all going to go, but I'm sure every team kind of has that, and they're all hoping to re-sign their guys. So that last spot I think is interesting. Now we're not previewing the Vikings game, but that it will be our first game that we talk about in today's episode when we go through each individual game. The signing a kicker, it's not 100% sure that Mason Crosby is going to be active on Sunday, and that's one to watch because I think this is going to be a close game, and a couple field goals might be the difference in this one.
Yeah, this could be a close one, and special teams in general could be a dictator of the winner of this game. But certainly, Mason Crosby hasn't kicked much this offseason, and he could be a game time decision, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's a perfect transition. Let's just go down the list. I don't like when the NFL makes divisional games be the first, second, third, or even really fourth week of the season. I think there's so much rust to knock off. I think there's new coaches, there's new players, there's new everything that I just think it's not a true test of what the team will be. The best example is last year when the Packers got clobbered by the Saints in Week 1 and then went and ripped off, 13, 14 wins.
Sure, but let me interrupt for a second. So does that change if the Packers had played the Bears, Lions, or Vikings game 1 last year? Does that make a difference? Do they come out rusty? Or this year are they going to come out thinking, all right, we've got the Vikings Week 1, our biggest division rival, the biggest threat to our NFC North reign, and are they going to really, really kind of be dialed in and ready to go? That's kind of the question, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if that's. I think I would hope so. I would hope that the team, kind of rises to the occasion. But I would have hoped that last year as well. I mean, last year was an NFC game that could have had, for as far as we know, playoff implications as well. To look at it from both, to be fair to both teams, right? The Vikings, for example, have a new head coach with a new offensive scheme, with a new everything, right? So they're not who they're going to be in Week 1. The Packers have a new, receiving core. We have guys coming off of injury, and you can say that, the injury part, I guess, for any week that injuries happen, but these two teams are going to look so different in just 4 to 6 weeks that I don't know. I think these are such big games that I think the NFL would prefer them not to be sloppy, and oftentimes the first couple of weeks of the NFL tends to be a little sloppy.
That's true. I've actually got a couple of friends that are Vikings fans, and they think that,
You do?
for that, I do. Can you believe it? But they think for that reason that the Vikings are going to come out, punch the Packers in the mouth, and destroy them week 1. Who have you got winning this game?
I don't have them coming out, punching us in the mouth and destroying us, but I do have them beating us. I have the Packers starting off just like last season, 0-1. And for some of the reasons that I just said, it's been reported that Lazard may not play that first week. That practice or the injury report hasn't come out, but he's apparently kind of limping along the last week or two. And I just think being in Minnesota week 1, where even if we rise to the occasion, I think we lose a close one because historically we've lost them here in Minnesota the last few years.
Yeah, it's always a tough environment to play in. I think the Packers still have the advantage when it comes to personnel and talent, and again, the Vikings have a new head coach, a new offense. Their defense is going to look different. So I've got the Packers winning a close one, but I think it will be a lower scoring, probably in the high teens, low 20s. But I've got them winning.
And how many sacks do you have Zadarius Smith having?
I think he gets one. I think he gets one against Aaron Rodgers.
I think so too.
I don't think he
so
balls
too,
out though.
I hope it's not a big time moment in the game, but I think you're right. But awesome. All right, so we're already in a disagreement, and that is what I hear you need to make a thriving podcast. I have them 0-1. You have the Packers 1-0. Oh my God, I guess I'm really down on the Packers this year, but I definitely have us rebounding. The owner of the Chicago Bears is going. It's going to be in Green Bay, so he won't go to Green Bay, or he won't go to Chicago. But I still have the Packers mopping up and having a nice rebound game, a get right game against the Chicago Bears. I assume you do as well.
I've got the Packers winning against the Bears in week 2 also.
Awesome. So we're you're at 2-0. I'm at 1-1 and 1-1 in the division. Which I don't know the Vikings schedule offhand. I have us kind of behind the 8 ball against the Vikings right away. So I think that's going to be an interesting rivalry all year long. And then we're going back to Tampa. A lot of drama in Tampa this year. Their guy, the Brady, is back. But we're in a state that we haven't done great in the last few years, and I'm interested to see what you say with us going down to Tampa Bay. Do you think we pull off a win, and do you think Brady is washed up and done?
Certainly not washed up. But I do think the Buccaneers regress a little bit. I've got the Packers winning on the road against the Buccaneers in week 3.
I'm pessimistic about the start of our team. Don't get me wrong. I think we're going to win this division. I think we're going to have a very good record, but I actually have us losing this game. So 2 of the first 3 games, I have the Packers losing, and I have them losing to the Bucs there.
Okay. Week 4 is against the Patriots at Lambeau. This was an interesting one. I think whenever you're playing a Belichick-run team, you just never know, because he's arguably the best game planner in the history of the NFL. I've got the Packers losing at home to the Patriots week 4.
I have them winning for no other reason than their quarterback, drawing a blank right now. Help me out. I think he was a little bit overrated last year, and I think he has a couple steps back, and I just think the Patriots aren't the Patriots with Tom Brady. So I think the Packers handle business at home and get back on track with a win with the Patriots.
All right, week 5 at home against the Giants. I've got the Packers winning this one. Shouldn't be hopefully a close game.
Not at home though. That's the game that's going to be overseas in London. That's going to be
you're right. Thanks for noting that on the sheet here.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm just making sure you're paying attention.
I'm not.
So it is one of our home games, but unfortunately is not home. I have us winning. I don't think. I think they tried. I don't know. I think we beat the Giants. I think we're better than the Giants, and I think even if we have to travel before and after, I think it's going to be a fine. It's going to be a nice brunch party. I think I might throw that morning.
Oh, I hope I'm invited. Next week we've got the Jets. This one will be at Lambeau Field. Got the Packers winning that one as well.
Yeah, for our first bye of the year, I think the Jets. I think we have that. That being said, I have a loss coming up here pretty soon that I'm going to say is my surprise loss, if you will. And the Packers inevitably drop one easy game that you and I say is a no-brainer. I have my prediction on which game that will be. I don't have it as the Jets, but I wouldn't be shocked if those one of these Giants or Jets turns into a loss for me. But by on paper, it definitely should not be, and I have them winning both those games.
Yep. And then we've got the Packers going to Washington to face the Commanders. So still weird to say, but I've got them winning that game.
I wish they just would have stuck with the football team. I think that's a cool, classy name that, wish they would have stuck with it. And yes, I have them winning that game as well. I think that's kind of a soft spot in our schedule, obviously. And again, hopefully guys are getting healthy at this point, kind of getting reps. Rookies are feeling good about themselves against teams that are probably not even 500 at that point, and for sure not 500 by the end of the year.
Then we have got the Bills on the road. I don't know what else you need to say. I mean, the Bills are going to be a contender probably the next decade, with Josh Allen as their quarterback. But this is going to be a tough one. I've got the Packers losing on the road to the Bills.
God, it's a game I want to win so bad, and it'll be great. A great game. What's the date on that? What's the weather going to be like?
That one is October 30th, so the day before Halloween.
Okay, so that's right around where Aaron Rodgers typically starts turning it on and getting hot. These new guys kind of getting their legs under them, but I have them losing as well. They're the NFL, like you said, the Super Bowl favorites right now. I got to pick them losing that game.
All right, here's my surprise loss of the season. We're going to go to Detroit and face the Lions. I've got the Packers losing this one on the road.
Oh, I mean, it's a good surprise loss. We've historically struggled there. The Lions have oddly given us a hard time. I can't do it. I don't know if you watched Hard Knocks. I wasn't persuaded by their featured on HBO. I have them winning. I have us taking care of the division, basically here on out, and I just don't see the Lions. At this point, they're already out of the division. They're out of the season, and I have the Packers taking care of business again. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, I mean, they obviously the Packers had nothing to play for last year, the last game of the season against the Lions, but
yep,
they did, and they do when they play the Packers. I mean, if they can beat the Packers at home, that's essentially, I won't say that's their Super Bowl, but I mean that's something that they can give their fans, and it's a victory to build off of. And like you said, historically we've had trouble there, so I've got us losing this one, for really no other reason than it's a division game, it's on the road, it's Detroit. Who the heck knows? They've got a pretty good head coach, we think now, and I just don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's one of the, like you said, it's a surprise loss where on paper, I'm sure, assuming the schedule, so like if we're right to this point, everyone's going to be picking the Packers to win, and that would be a surprise loss. I have us winning, but I am hoping you can't say I told you so once that game happens. So, how about the Cowboys the next week playing our ex-coach? McCarthy, what's his first name? Mike. What's
his name?
What's his name? Super Bowl champion. They're in Green Bay. Do you see the Cowboys coming up here and kicking the Packers' butts?
So for those keeping score, I've got the Packers losing against the Bills and Lions back-to-back. Now, LaFleur hasn't lost back-to-back games yet, I don't think, as a head coach. But I've got him losing back-to-back games this year.
No.
So Bills, Lions, and I've got him losing to the Cowboys at home.
Yeah, that is surprising. 3 losses in a row. I mean, what is possibly happening to the Packers if we lose 3 in a row? I mean, that would be a tough pill to swallow. I think the Cowboys are going to be the traditional Cowboys. And they're going to be a lot of flash the first couple of weeks, and they're going to be the best team in the NFL until week 3. And then they're going to come right back to earth once they stop playing their division, and they're going to be